Welcome to Carsimply News. As the clock is ticking in the auto industry, the ongoing tariff wars have taken a new turn. President Trump has granted a 30-day pause on tariffs for Canadian and Mexican auto imports. But this is no ceasefire. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Premier Doug Ford have responded with a firm stance. But more on that in a bit. This tariff situation? It didn't just pop up overnight. The seeds of this conflict were sown months ago. And to fully grasp what's happening now, you need to see how it all started. Last December, things took a crucial turn. We covered it in detail in one of our previous videos, which you can find right here. It's crucial to understanding what's happening now. So what's the current status of the US-Canada tariff situation? Here's the deal. President Trump announced a 25% tariff on car imports from Canada and Mexico. That's a potential $12,000 price hike on many vehicles. Mr. Trump said it was about keeping the border safe, but it really worried American car companies. Because a lot of car parts move back and forth between those countries, this would impact many US-built cars as well. Now, there's a 30-day pause on those tariffs, specifically for vehicles complying with the USMCA trade agreement. So while the situation remains tense, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the next 30 days. Now, the impact of the tariffs on the car prices. As I mentioned earlier, the proposed 25% tariff on all imports from Canada and Mexico could push car prices up by as much as $12,000. This would make the American auto industry the first casualty in this escalating trade war. Additionally, the elimination of exemptions on metal tariffs, 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum, and the increase of the levy on aluminum to 25% could disrupt more than $300 billion in annual US automotive trade with Canada and Mexico. So what do the automakers think about this? Automakers and analysts say the 30-day reprieve isn't enough time for much change to happen. They argue that shifting production to the US in such a short time is unlikely. Automakers Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis have expressed appreciation for the pause but emphasized the need for a long-term solution. After all, they have invested billions in the US and continue to support American manufacturing. Canada's retaliatory measures. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau criticized the tariffs set by the US administration. He called them unfair and bad for both countries' economies. In response, Canada placed tariffs on many American goods worth billions. Trudeau said Canada will defend its industries and work with groups like the World Trade Organization to handle these issues. He also assured people that Canada will protect its economy while staying cooperative with the US. On the other hand, Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced steps to counter the tariffs set by the US. These include removing US alcohol from LCBO stores, ending Ontario's Starlink contract, and stopping US companies from bidding on government projects. Ford also added a 25% fee on electricity exports to states like New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. He made it clear that these measures will stay until the US completely removes its tariffs on Canadian goods. But what is the impact on auto industry? Premier Doug Ford warned that tariffs could shut down auto factories on both sides of the Canada-US border within 10 days. He explained that auto parts cross the border multiple times during production, and tariffs at each crossing would cause major financial strain. Ford emphasized the close ties between Ontario's auto industry and Michigan, saying the tariffs would disrupt both. He also criticized the US for pausing auto tariffs for a month, arguing it gives American companies an unfair advantage. Ford called for a fair trade deal to protect the industry. Now, are the tariffs even legal? Well, it appears they could be illegal. Simply explained, under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, the US president has the power to impose tariffs on imports if they are seen as a threat to national security. This means that if certain goods coming into the country could harm industries critical to defense or the economy, the president can step in and take action, like adding extra taxes or tariffs on those goods. However, some argue that using this law for tariffs might not always be legal, especially if the connection to national security isn't clear. But to understand the roots of this tariff situation and its effects on the auto industry, click the video on screen right now to understand the whole history of these tariffs. If you like quick rundowns explained simply, please like this video and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. This was Carsimply News.